I want to go deep dive on these amazing people you've been supporting at the Alliance Defending Freedom, because it's like that story of, the giant in the Old Testament, David and Goliath. Goliath is the state, comes after you, your religious freedoms, your First Amendment rights. Who's going to help you fight the Goliath? Well, we've got the answer for you today from the Alliance Defending Freedom, Ryan Tucker, and one of their clients, a man who thought he had constitutional rights at the Mid-Vermont Christian School, Chris Goodwin. Welcome to America First.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
So, Ryan, tell us first, what is the mission of ADF and why you don't charge your clients a penny?
Well, we're the world's largest legal organization committed to protecting religious freedom, free speech, the sanctity of life, marriage and family, and parental rights. And we're blessed to be supported by thousands of individuals across the United States and even around the world to be able to do the legal work that we've been called to do.
All right. And you represent people like Chris. Chris, you were a coach at the Mid-Vermont Christian School. Tell us, you're talking to about 3.5 million people right now. Tell us your story.
Yeah, I still am a coach at the Mid-Vermont Christian School. And at the end of our last season, we were kicked out of all state athletics by the state of Vermont because we felt at our school we had the right to choose whether we wanted to have our female athletes compete against male athletes. So we had a playoff game that was scheduled against a team that had a male athlete on the team, and we declined to play that game. And as a result of that, the state did not like our decision, and they ended up kicking us out of the league.
I'm curious because I saw the news when it happened, Chris. What are the other schools you're competing with and the athletic associations and the referees? When you see these hulking 6'3" men pretending to be young girls and you say, hang on a second, that's cheating. How come everybody else doesn't agree with you, Chris?
I would say that there's a really high percentage of individuals inside athletics all throughout the country and in the state of Vermont who agree with our position. I think it's a relatively few. They just happen to be inside the state, in the state organization and the VPA, which runs state athletics. They're the ones who are fighting us on our decision. So the support we've gotten from coaches all over the state, all over the country, athletic directors, I've talked to more than a few of them, and they say, hey, you're fighting the good fight. But the one thing that they do tell me is that they really don't have the ability to speak up like we do because they're fearful of losing their jobs and their coaching and their positions that they have.
Well, Ryan, you're the director of the Center for Christian Ministries. What is ADF doing for people like Chris?
Well, first off, we're representing Chris and the great individuals there at the school in federal court. We filed a lawsuit in the federal court there in Vermont, and we're asking the court to allow the school, these great players, to be able to compete again in the state association. So we have a hearing coming up next month in April, and so we feel very confident in our arguments, and we're hoping that we can right a serious wrong here. It's absolutely ridiculous what the state's doing.
What is your message, Ryan, to those who are listening right now who say, well, you know what, I'm not a cake baker, I'm not a basketball coach, and, that doesn't matter to me?
Well, I wish that this incident were a one-off. Unfortunately, we see this going on across the U.S. Not just the ridiculous situation of having to possibly put female athletes up against male athletes, but we see it in a number of different contexts. And so, I think what's important here, and why I'm so appreciative of Chris and the folks at Mid-Vermont, is just the fact that they're standing up. We can't remain silent here, because what the state's trying to do is purge schools and people from the public square because they don't agree with the government here on a controversial issue where they're ignoring basic biology, safety, privacy, the importance of free speech and religious freedom. It's vindictive, and it's absolutely outrageous.
Yeah, well, ADF has been fighting for 30 years, and we want everyone to support them by going to my website, sebgorka.com, and clicking on the ADF banner at the top. Please make a generous donation today so people like Chris can have the support they need. We've got only a few seconds left, Coach Chris. What's the situation with the team? How are the girls doing? Are you like on now hiatus? Are you kicked out of the league? What's the situation?
Well, our first choice would be to continue to play in the state of Vermont. Last year, that wasn't possible since they did not allow us to play. So we were able to find a New England Christian School League where we were traveling all over New England, Connecticut, New Hampshire, Massachusetts. So it was a lot more travel. We had overnight, so there's definitely an added expense in that. But we're happy we were able to have a season. But again, we're missing out on what we feel like is our right to be able to play in the state. We shouldn't be expected to, well, the state is basically forcing us to force our girls to compete against male athletes. And we just don't think that's right. And what we want to do is just have the choice to say, you know what, we're going to pass on those games and we're going to have our girls play against girls. It's pretty simple that way for us.
It's just so wrong. Thank you, Ryan and the ADF, for representing people like Coach Chris Goodwin. Please be generous. I've got a goal of $20,000 this month. Will you make a gift of $100 right now to the people who don't charge clients like Chris a penny and take the fight all the way to the Supreme Court? Please go to my website, sebgorka.com, and click on the ADF banner. That's SEBGORKA, sebgorka.com, and the Stand with ADF banner at the very top. Love to have you guys back. I'm Sebastian Gorka.